Hello, fine people of the internet. You may be wondering what exactly is going on here, and I will tell you.
Every day we stray further from God's light. So now here's nuggets with God.
In Northeast Ohio, where we are currently, it is very, very cold outside, and discovered that my car does not have heat, so it is in the shop. So I'm working from home, which I was already set up to work from home, you know, COVID-19 and stuff. Here I am. This is me in my natural state. I know a lot of you have pointed out that I am very fashionable, and so I did not want to disappoint wearing my classic union suit pajamas because it is early. Probably have sleepy eyes still. When we did the video for the ring light and how to shoot a selfie video and all those, got a whole bunch of questions from people, mostly how to cut basic video together. So just a very entry level, and a lot of people ask what program I use, which is actually pretty tough because it's Premiere Pro right now, which is Adobe, which is, you know, there's better options out there for like cinema type things. They're not likely going to use Premiere Pro, but for about 90% of the population, it's going to be Premiere or Final Cut, and they behave fairly similar. Also, I do have Blackmagic's editing software on here. It came with my my Ursa Mini, but I know Premiere, and everything I do is in Premiere or Adobe products, and they all talk together and play together pretty nice. Without further ado, I'm going to show you guys how to just basic importing, cutting video for your videos. So come with me. So like I said, I'm going to be showing you how to cut a basic video, just the most basic skill you need to use Premiere to cut a video together. So the first thing I need to do is open a new project, and we'll just call it Stage Skins, I can't type, Riser Build. And as for everything else that's in here, little known fact is that if you just leave it to default, hit OK, you'll see there's nothing in here. If you drop in footage, it'll automatically set up your project files to match whatever your footage is. So in this case, I was shooting on a Canon 5D Mark IV, 1080p, 24 frames per second. So it's going to automatically set up the project in that codec. So, as you guys just saw, the very first thing you need to do, and off on my second screen, I have all my files sitting in a folder. So, there's a couple ways to import. I find the most easy is to click and drag. So I'm going to drag this first one over, and you can either dump it into this bin right here, and you'll see it's in there, or you could take the exact same clip and add it directly to your timeline, and it should import everything together. Yeah, right there. So we have, this is our video timeline, and our audio is below that, or our video track, I should say. So now you can see, this is what I usually do when I get it in here, is I scrub through it. And I'm gonna look down here at these big pauses, because that's probably where I screwed something up and had to think about what to say.
But
in this case, I didn't screw up. I just, that was just part of the script of what we were doing for that video. So.
Oh my gosh,
so here's where you start cutting. So to begin with, there's this big breath in. There's a couple things that I do that drive me crazy, and I just did it when I'm recording and editing my own video, is I say so a lot. Like, so we're about to cut this video, or so the thing we're about to do next. And it drives me crazy, actually, so I cut those all out. A lot of people say a lot, just like when they're trying to find the right words to say, they'll stumble through and say I don't really have that problem as much, it's more so. The other thing that drives me nuts is I take big deep breaths, and I'll say a lot of words in one sentence, and then I'll be out of breath, and I keep doing that, and it's really annoying. I have a hard time just being steady, so I will actively, you can probably hear that, actively seek those out and eliminate them. So how I'm controlling the timeline, this is the play and stop, but I use the space bar, that way I can have my left hand on the keyboard, my right hand the mouse, and it just operates much faster. So now that we're ready to cut, I've found the place where I want to cut in, which is right before I start talking, and there's two ways to do this. So this is your razor tool, which you can just click on, boom. My tracks are linked, my video and audio, because I recorded the audio directly into the camera. Or, undo, you can just hit C, which once you start doing this a lot, you're going to want to use shortcuts. So C, and then the selection tool, shortcut is V. So C, V, C, V, C, V, C. So you're really just using like 3 buttons constantly. Spacebar, the cut tool or razor tool, and the selection tool. So I'm going to cut that out just by hitting delete. So then we listen through.
I know I've told you guys before that I'm not taking on any more projects for Pastor Ricky that don't have to do with Microsoft Paint, but I've got the whole crew here today. I've got Joe back here, got Theodore over here, and now I'm super dizzy.
So since I use this for the intro, if you guys happen to watch this video, but there's a long pause here.
Oh my gosh, so...
And I actually was really dizzy when I shot that. So, and then you hear me say so, which I just did. So.
Oh my gosh,
So I'm going to get rid of that whole little sequence that just happened. Cut. And then I started actually talking again here. So C to cut, C to cut, V selection, click it with my mouse, delete. Now I have this space in between here, so if I hit play,
now I'm super dizzy.
Just be black screen for a couple seconds, which obviously we don't want.
Ricky wanted me to build.
So again, there's always several ways to do this, and I'll show you the first one, the one that I use most often. If you have a very simple timeline like this will work just fine. It's called the ripple delete tool. So you would right click on this space, ripple delete, and it's going to butt the frames right up to each other. So
I'm super dizzy. Ricky wanted me to.
Now we have a jump cut.
And now I'm super dizzy. Ricky wanted here, and now I'm super dizzy. Ricky wanted me.
Or the other way is to do what I just did in reverse, which is to click the clips and drag them over. And over here I have the magnet tool selected, or the snap tool, and that's just going to snap things to either my timeline marker or any other noteworthy points, like anywhere there's a seam, it'll line them up.
Build a drum riser, which is hilarious because that is so far.
So just for the sake of social media and attention span, I try to cut out as many pauses as I possibly can and then turn those into jump cuts. So at the end of the video, yeah, I might only save like 30 seconds the entire video, but it just flows much faster. It feels like you're getting to the point faster. And when you're shooting these vlog style videos, it gives it more of a vloggy feel, which is not a word or a phrase, but I just made it up, so now it is. So you'll see a lot of jump cuts.
Because that is so
jump cut.
Because that is so far away.
It also sounds like I formulated the sentence really well, and in all honesty, I was kind of like thinking on the fly.
That is so.
Because
that is so far away from anything that I'm qualified to do. So.
I said so, I paused, said so, and picked my nose. All those things have to go. So we're going to click here. Take those out. Ripple delete. Now, get another jump cut.
To do. Got my volunteer. I'm qualified to do. Got my volunteers.
So it just sounds like I knew what I was talking about. Sounds like I didn't pause and pick my nose.
Here's got the materials, and we're going to take you through the proper way.
So there's a good example of where I took a little extra space to say the words, and it again just kind of flows better if you take that out. So I'm going to go to where this ends, where this one ends, delete.
We're going to take you through the proper way to build a drum riser.
Took a big breath here, which I can't stand. So C to cut, C to cut, V to select, delete, ripple delete, gone.
Drum riser as far as I know.
And a big exhale. Sound like I'm having a hard time breathing. So, now we're going to watch the whole thing together. I just said so.
I know I've told you guys before that I'm not taking on any more projects for Pastor Ricky that don't have to do with Microsoft Paint, but I've got the whole crew here today. I've got Joe back here. got Theodore over here, and now I'm super dizzy. Ricky wanted me to build a drum riser, which is hilarious because that is so far away from anything that I'm qualified to do. Got my volunteers, got the materials, and we're going to take you through the proper way to build a drum riser as far as I know.
Okay, so that feels pretty good. No one noticed this, but it was really hot and then cold and then hot again that day, so I kept taking my hoodie on and off, and I got tired of like running the mic up and down my shirt, so I just taped the front of my shirt, hoping someone would be like, wow, that looks hilarious. No one called me out. I'm mad. Anyway, you'll notice a couple tabs up here: learning, assembly, editing, color, effects, audio, graphics, libraries, and untitled workspace, which is like my my personal one that I don't even use anymore. So what these are is different layouts to the workspace itself. So up here is like effects control panel, and then this is like your clip timeline up here, and this is your program monitor. In this case, we're in the graphics tab, so here's my graphics over here, and you guys are gonna recognize this one, I guarantee it, because this is the one I use for me. Oops, about my mic. Generic, church, creative, guy, says so a lot. Okay, just make this a little bigger. And there you have it. There's my title. So yeah, I won't get into too many details of how that works, but yeah, it's also not running real well. I'm getting a new computer soon. So that's just, and then there's all these. It's really for what you guys are doing. You don't need to know yet, but there's the color tab, which I would use. Let's say I shot this and I didn't like the color. I would go and create an adjustment layer, which is basically your filter layer. Stretch it over all my clips. And then I would come over here and change the color. Now I'm shooting on a DSLR, not in RAW, which means I have very little control over color after I shoot. But the color temperature in this room is a little cooler, so I could warm myself up a little bit and go towards the yellow side. Look, now it looks like I'm on a beach somewhere, or I go really cold. But yeah, so that's what that tab does. But I'm not too worried about color. I let the camera do a lot of work when I shoot on a DSLR. And then assembly. This just gives you a nice big, your timeline is nice and big so you can see more clips at a time. I honestly do most of my work in graphics because I use a lot of these graphic overlays. We're gonna import one more clip and cut it up just so you guys can follow along. So drag my movie into the bin, or my clip, I should say. Drag it over to the timeline.
No. So the general concept.
There, I said so. This is where, so this little slider at the bottom will take you up and down the timeline. Then you grab one of these circles at the end and stretch, make your timeline smaller. So you're seeing more of the timeline, but it's harder to, cut individual spaces. Or you can make it much smaller. So
the general.
So I don't like when I said so, but I jumped right into the. So that is pretty close to right in between. Now let's see how that worked out.
As far as I know. So the general concept.
So I got a little bit of the end of the word so in there, but I think it's acceptable for this style of video. That's part of the reason why it's so important to articulate words when you're speaking on camera. It's not just for clarity, but also so if I had to cut a word out and I was talking so fast and kind of running my syllables together, you'll notice you can actually see on this waveform, you can see the syllables.
Concept.
So if I wanted to take out, like for some reason I wanted to take out sept, I could actually do that. So that's why it's important to articulate. I'm gonna put that clip back now. There we go. Anyway, you get the point. I go through, cut out all the ums, the so's, the breaths, the spaces where I'm not sure what to say. Actually, there's a good one coming up if I remember.
You can keep talking.
Yeah, right there. So The two guys I was shooting with here were actually talking about the build in the background. They weren't trying to be disrespectful or anything, but they were busy, didn't realize I picked up the camera and started filming. And so, check this out.
Is that we are going to build... You can keep talking, it doesn't matter.
I was moving into
build. You can keep talking, it
the
doesn't
video.
matter.
They would realize I was recording and they shut up and real quick, and I was like, "Hey guys, don't worry about it." So, but nevertheless,
you can keep talking. It doesn't matter. Yeah, his mic is recording to a card, so I just won't use it. So the basic concept is
and I'm gonna leave that so in because it actually kind of fits with the context.
Is that we are going to build. So the basic concept is we're gonna.
And then I realized I started over, so I can actually delete this first clip altogether. Delete my ripple.
General con. So the basic concept.
And delete that too.
As I know. So the basic concept is we're going to build essentially a wall. So studs, 16-inch uns.
And I'm going to get rid of that so, because that's annoying.
So
you can see on the waveform right where I say so, right?
So
I'm going to take that out. Remember C, which is your razor. And then V, which is selection. Click it. Select the ripple or this empty space. Hit delete.
Essentially a wall. Studs, 16-inch on center, which
didn't like my breath right there, so I'm gonna razor these out. I'm gonna go back just a touch and watch it again.
Essentially a wall. Studs, 16-inch on center, which it's really, whoever's building this will know what all that means, hopefully.
I'm gonna take out these little, this is what I was talking about earlier, these little dead spots where I'm like thinking about the next thing to say. Just as little, like literally split seconds, just getting rid of those.
Studs, 16-inch on center, which it's really, whoever's building this will know what all that means, hopefully. Enclosing the entire thing in plywood, or in our case we're using MDF because it's nice.
And then, this is just a personal habit of mine, but I like to go back and watch like every roughly minute of footage. Like I have, you know, about 45 seconds there is cut up. So I want to make sure that I haven't repeated myself at this point before I get too far into the project, or that everything I'm saying is consistent and congruent with itself. So I will actually go back and watch the whole thing. I probably watched the entire video 50 times before I get to the end of it, and then I'll go back and watch another 50 and trim it up. So this is what I will do.
I know I've told you guys before that I'm not taking on any more projects for Pastor Ricky that don't have to do with Microsoft Paint, but
computer's having a hard time.
But I've got the whole crew here today. I've got Joe back here. Here, got Theodore over here, and now I'm super dizzy. Ricky wanted me to build a drum riser, which is hilarious because that is so far away from anything that I'm qualified to do. Got my volunteers, got the materials, and we're going to take you through the proper way to build a drum riser as far as I know. So the basic concept is we're going to build essentially a wall. Studs, 16-inch on center, which it's really, whoever's building this will know what all that means, hopefully. Enclosing the entire thing in plywood, or in our case we're using...
All right, so far I feel really good about that, and so I'm gonna stop here because the next couple things I do will be like transitions. There's some things I have to do with audio, not as much with this particular mic pack and this style of video that I'm doing, but a lot of more in-depth things I would do at this point. There's transitions I would need to add. There's the intro I would need to add. Music selection is another thing. So, but I'm going to stop there. Thank you guys for watching this. That's a perfect place to stop. Look at that face. All right, so hopefully you learned something. If you are interested in learning more, there are a lot of things to learn about Premiere. Let me know if there's something specific you'd like to see, and I'll walk you through it. The next thing I'll probably do is transitions, like video transitions, video effects, just basic cross dissolves, dip to white, dip to black, and then some motion graphic stuff just to kind of add a little bit of flair to your video, and then how to put like graphic overlays and those types of things. In my mind, that's kind of like the next step. So thanks for watching. Again, let me know if you have questions or want to see something specific. Thanks.